Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you've been well, and we are back after a little while for a quick tutorial live class today on a finisher video we did recently. So we're gonna bring back things together as it's been quite a while. Hey, what's up, guys? And without further ado, and we are back after a little while for a quick tutorial straight in live class today on a finisher the work video we did recently. So if you guys haven't seen the video yet, to my good surprise, so it was a good surprise, and some of you have been asking me how you guys haven't seen the video add all those effects and stuff. That's the reason why I good surprise those clinical effects. So it was a good surprise, and some of you have been asking me how you guys haven't seen. So there are some places where I don't expect that. That's the reason why I good surprise. Finish on those places. And well, I got lucky enough to finally do a finisher there. In this, this was on Broken Moon. Not the best place to do a to play the Broken Moon, but a very cool place to overall have a great finisher because the background is really stunning. So it was pretty exciting. Alors, sorry guys, I'm a bit rusty. It's been a while we haven't been live, so I'm making sure at the same time that the broadcast is perfect. So everything is good so far. So we are good to go. So to start, since I like the finisher, as you can see here, the main small concern, since I didn't want it to readjust the background, the position. Sometimes I cancel my finisher and get back in a better position. So here, as you can see, the background is not perfectly with the wonderful center part with all the glass, the colored glass and everything. So I decided to reposition it myself. I came back actually later on after the finisher to cheat a little bit on the background. I came back later on, and I did a few screenshots actually of the place. So I'm gonna show you on Photoshop. So I went back to the place, and I did a few screenshots from different positions. And once I got the position, I did one screenshot, and then I moved slightly up and down to have a little bit more covered, like a wide angle views, in order for me to combine those images and also be able to remove the HUD easily instead of doing too much Photoshop. Since I moved my camera up and down, so some parts who were covered by the HUD on one screenshot were not going to be covered on the other screenshot. So I combine all of that together in order to have my clean background that I'm going to show you here. And I was going to use later on. So this is my my clean background. So once I had my my frame set, I have the original here that I was gonna pause to do the effect, and then I just do a clean the background quickly, and then add my new background, as you can see, which is much more spectacular. and since the angle was almost the same, I crouch and look up. You barely notice any difference. So I did different tries. One a little bit closer than the original. That was quite nice. Plus I like the aura around the head of the caustic. But then I decided to... I really wanted to have the full background, which I believe is... it's quite impressive, this kind of wide angle view, and you have all the ceiling. So I went for this one. So back to Final Cut. So on Final Cut, I did I usually use you can do it directly on CapCut or any editing software that you guys have. I use Final Cut because I feel like I have much more precision in the edit, in the frame and everything. So I started to do my normal edit first on Final Cut, and then I usually use CapCut to have all those extra effects at the end of the video. If I want to adjust the colors, I have some cool effects that Final Cut Pro doesn't necessarily have, like CapCut can provide. So I'll show you after. So I got my video first. So what I did is I slow it down because to really match with the music, and I also did the grading, the colorful grading. So this is just a small detail, but since I didn't like at the beginning, as you can see, the color grading at the beginning is really ugly. But once you're inside, the color, the warmth of the room is totally different. So I just did I started with a normal color grading, then I just changed the opacity back to my inside. That's why you have this kind of plus at the entrance, like the colors are suddenly boosted. So just here nothing special. We are in slow motion, so any software now can do slow motion. You don't need to have your footage at 60 or 120 FPS to have a clean slow motion. Now most of the software, when you adjust the speed, you can also adjust the quality of the slow motion. So instead of having something really like frame by frame, then you can ask the software to actually tell you so you have something that's super smooth. Because basically it's just gonna, if you have 30 FPS and you go half speed, which I believe this is, or even slower, when you go half speed, basically the software is gonna calculate all the frame in between, and it's gonna create them, which gonna add and make this illusion of a perfectly smooth frame instead of having something like that. So this nowadays, and most softwares can do it with very great result. So this allows us to have a very nice smooth effects. And then when we arrive to the special part, so here I didn't do any transition because I was planning to do it on CapCut. So we go straight to the frame. So what happened is I found on YouTube different overlays that you can easily find. Whatever you want, flames, stars, snow. So here I was looking for light rays and shine and beams, things like that. So I downloaded a couple to see which one was the most suitable, and after you just use a mask, a green screen or a blending mode in order for the effect to go simply over your frame. So once I found what I wanted, after that it's pretty straightforward. So I have first my normal zoom here. So I create the first unzoom of this layer first. And since I wanted the background to also move, to have this kind of camera deep and dezoom effect, so this one is much more cropped at the beginning and open to the end scene. So you have this kind of effect at the same time that they are not perfectly moving together because you don't want them on the same layer, but you want to have this kind of effects of depth. And after that, I just added my different layers. I got a normal shining beam. I adjust also on the opacity so they can appear the way I want it. And then I had the other one. And together combined are just perfect. And this one I tried but didn't work out well. And this is the other one. It's the same, but I had behind my characters in order to make it a little bit stronger, because I didn't want it to be over my characters and we won't be able to see them, just slightly over, so you have this kind of effect of shadow. And then at the end they go fully. And then we'll go back to the end of the finisher. So once this is done and approve my my quality test, and I'm happy with everything, so I export that in a very good quality, not really raw, but high enough in order to not lose any details on the next editing, since I'm gonna re-edit it kind of post-production. So you want to export this as a very, very high quality, not compressed at all. And then we move to CapCut. Where I will be doing the final editing. So I need to get back the file which was on the cloud. This is just gonna take a minute. I already downloaded it earlier, but my cloud just removed it. So let's get back the video. So I had back the video, but without the music, because I didn't want it if I was gonna do some changes there. So I had the video back without the music, and then I re-imported the music here. So once I got my video, then I just that is ready to go. Because you see, if you do sometimes transition are gonna change a little bit the speed of your video, or remove some frames in order to blend everything together. So it's okay if you have some background noises, but if you have a smooth music going all the way through, it's safer in order to not have any glitches during the transition, to have the sound by itself. And those, I believe, are the caustic quip. So I can really match it. I am not a god, but I am something similar. So once we have that, I got classic. So this is in effect that you can find on CapCut. So you can already do all this editing and color changing directly on CapCut. All I did on Final Cut, you can do it here. And then you can add the different effect. So we start by a simple colorful zoom for the beginning of the video. Once we're here, we already have the transition, the flash by the game itself, so nothing to do. Here I'm gonna create my first transition. So this one is a full in from camera. You'll find it there, pull in. And then the pull out to end it up. After that, what do I want? I want some shake. So unfortunately, you cannot edit here the intensity. So I created different levels in order for the camera to start to shake gradually to the ending, and then unshake for the ending to be still. I think the color distortion I didn't use. I use sunset vibration for the transition here to add some effect. So if I didn't have the transition at first, it will still work. here just had a little bit of zoom and blur to make it a bit more dramatic. We have the scene here, then we have the de-zoom, and at that part we added, in order to keep, I like the halo, the luminosity on top, so I wanted to keep it. So I found a cool effect here called sunset, because otherwise that would have been, we would have lost the transition. I mean the mood, the visual mood on this part. So I added a little effect here at the end in order to make it smooth and finish the whole video. And you have it. Actually, we have it here already, also at the beginning. And voila. So I hope this will help you and give you more ideas and input for your edit as well. And since we are here, I'm gonna show you how to create tonight or tomorrow's, if wherever, depends wherever you are. We're gonna create real quick the art piece for this week, live wallpaper. So we're gonna start back Final Cut Pro. It's kind of early today, but I really wanted to do this live, as it's been more than a week that the video has been dropped, and I said I was gonna do it, so I'm happy to finally get back the mojo and the mood. I'll go back. I think I'll prepare a podcast at the end of this week. We try many podcasts. If you guys have been follow up, and didn't work so much because I think I don't know if it's the internet connection here, the output, or the software, but we're gonna try to work harder on those parts in order to have something, a quality broadcast we can ideally and as planned project every week. So for our live wallpaper, we need a 4K video that's gonna loop for about 1 minute, and then repeat it for your desktop to be fired up. So we have the art piece here. We're gonna use this one as a default. Divine Termination. I forgot which number it was. Doesn't really matter right now. So we are in 4K, 60 FPS. So this one was the previous one we did pre-delete. All right. So for that finisher, I don't want any motion, because you don't want the background to move all the time. Obviously, that will be that will just be tiring and visually inadequate. So we're gonna remove all the effects. From the foreground and from the background. And after that, let's see if we need, how we're gonna use those effects. So here I got my base video at 1 minute. We'll readjust all those effects later on. There we go. So my foreground, my background. So this is gonna be the base of our live wallpaper. So we have two main effects. This one we're not using. I mean, we can keep it as an option. We'll see what works the best on a long basis. So let's see how long this light beam video. Actually, it's quite long because I think I slow it down. I know. So the video itself is already quite long, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty intense though. So since it's gonna be a wallpaper, we want something to be quite natural and not visually overpowering. So something a little bit subtle. So I think this one. This is the max out of the sunbeam. So since we don't need to do exactly the same as the other one, I think we can simply go with this effect. Let's see how long it lasts.